Now, starting with the top story that matters the most right now in Canada is what's going on in Alberta. We've been talking about it for quite some weeks now. And yesterday, Albertans, essentially were up in arms in confusion and what would appear to be political backlash that erupted after Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith made an announcement. She was supposed to speak to Albertans on TV. It was a live announcement, and this was to announce a referendum that would not directly ask Albertans whether they want to leave Canada. If you recall, the 301,000 petitions that were signed was for Albertans that they said they want to leave Canada. The threshold is 178,000 signatures, and the movement raised over 301,000 signatures. So now, what the premier said that this referendum that will be held will instead ask whether the province should eventually hold a future binding referendum on separation. So essentially what critics are calling a referendum on referendum. So Premier Danielle Smith announced that the referendum date will be October 19th, so just a few months away. And in this referendum, it will ask voters whether the province should begin the legal process required for a future binding separation referendum. So this is, not what Albertans had expected, especially the ones who signed those 300,000 petitions that wanted to have a referendum on whether Alberta should immediately leave Canada. Now, Smith defended what she says is that, this is to understand if Albertans want to move in that direction. If you recall, there was a setback for the separatist movement with a court ruling. But now critics, after listening to her announcement, are saying that her announcement was confusing, it was indirect, and it was politically evasive. To that, you had Jeff Rath, who's the lawyer for the Stay Free Alberta, which is one of the movements for the separatist movement, said that Premier Smith had alienated most of the hardcore portion of her base and accused her of creating a referendum on having a referendum, and that just tagline just stuck. Cam Davies, the leader of the Republican Party of Alberta, said a vote to have a vote is a literal definition of kicking the can down the road, essentially saying that she's not taking responsibility, she's being evasive, and she just made an announcement for the sake of making an announcement, and now she's going to have a referendum for the sake of having, a question on whether Alberta should have a referendum and staying as a part of Canada.
Watch the full show on Channel Y Media Plus, and Channel Y USA.